Welcome to Grid Charlotte. And tonight's topic is how to market for a deal or how to find deals. So would love to learn a little bit about you all and those of you on Zoom world. So we'll just go around the room, make an intro, where you're at in the investor world or what you do on a day-to-day basis, if that's okay. And then the whole point of this is to network. And so if someone's like, oh, hey, you're a real estate agent, I need a real estate agent, then connect with each other. And like Jeff, he'll introduce himself. He does some other businesses too. So if that intrigues you, we will connect you to Jeff. But let's start with you.
My name is Jerry Boyce. I just got licensed to be a union broker. So right now I'm just trying to get into the world of being an agent. Right now I'm only getting some more multi-family development for now. Really just kind of teaching myself along the way how to analyze deals, find deals and everything. So that's why I'm here today and working at you.
Cool.
My name is Michelle. I teach school, but I also do real estate investing. I do a couple of flips every year, and then I've got 3 long-term rentals and 3 short-term.
Are they all here?
The short-terms are at the beach. Everything else is fun.
Love it. Awesome.
Jeff Jones, I've been in real estate since 2017, 18. Not really doing much investing, but I want to see something, do the right thing to jump on.
Cool.
Hi, my name is Diane. I'm actually from Texas and I purchased a property. It was my first one and it was about 6 months ago. So we're just finishing it up. I think I'm interested in everything, wholesaling, multifamily homes, all of that. So I think I work in the corporate world, so this isn't my first thing, but I would love to kind of make this something that's part of my world on the daily. So just everything. So I'm just listening to everything anyone has to say. I'm interested.
Are you working with a crew to do the deal that you just are doing?
No, my sister and I found a property. Someone started it in a really cool area in Dallas and they started building it and then they stopped. So
Yeah.
we got it at Sticks, but it's like a really modern, cool build. And so we're finishing it. So it's going to be really pretty, but I'm also interested in just anything.
Yeah.
You know,
That's cool.
builds, wholesale, whatever it is, like I'm into it.
I love it. Great.
So I'm sorry, I have a question. So do you live here now, or are you in that?
Yeah, I live here. My job sent me here for like I work in corporate and financing world, but I found a property like 6 months ago when I was visiting home, and we were like, let's do it. So that was our first one. So it was exciting.
That's awesome.
My name is Darius Hurd. Like you, I'm in corporate America. I work for Bank of America. The only home I've ever purchased is the home I live in. So this is investment space is new to me. So I want to get tapped in. I want to see what's going on and find out I should come here to figure out, where those right deals be located. So I'm here.
I'm Keith. I'm a real estate agent. So I have purchased my home currently that I'm house hacking. So eventually I do, I thought about short-term rental, but then with how it's working years currently, I do medium term and traveling nurses, and then looking for the next deal. Looking for a multi-family.
Awesome.
I'm Bridget Graves. I'm a realtor also in North and South Carolina. I have 2 long-term rentals, so I do want to know more about short-term rentals, flips, scare me a little bit. But the rest that I haven't touched yet, that's what I want.
Awesome.
I'm Ashley. I'm currently studying to get my license. My husband and I have 1 long-term rental out in the Clemson area. And we want to get to know more about finding deals for more long-term. Short-term scares us. We're both engineers, so we need to analyze everything to death. So that's
Awesome. All right. How about you, Mark?
Hi, I'm Mark Taylor. I'm in Fort Mill. I actually live in the same neighborhood as Rebecca. So I was in the mortgage lending side for 23 years, and I am 1 test away from being able to get my real estate license. So I'm new to investing, and this is something that I want to get into after I get my license and be able to learn more.
Awesome. And you are a small business owner for,
For me, I have a small business that I started that I'm actually going to pass on to my wife, which is a low moisture, deep carpet cleaning that I do. And I'm building it up for the past 8 months, and we'll continue to do that until I get my license. And like I said, my wife will probably be the one to take it over after that because I won't be able to do both at the same time.
awesome. All right, Jeff.
Oh, there we go. Hello, yeah, I'm Jeff. You guys might see my coffee around there in Fort Mill, TK Coffee Company, co-owner there. And I also do, I have 2 midterm rentals. There you go for your traveling nurses there in Charlotte, and 1 long-term rental.
Come on in. Yep. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Chris.
Hey, my name's Chris. I'm a real estate broker in both North Carolina and Michigan. Moved here about 4 years ago, and just looking to network and get my first investment property, mainly short term, but I'm open for really anything.
Are you looking in any specific areas?
I live in Huntersville. I'd like to stay for my first one. I'd love to stay somewhat local, maybe Cornelius, Huntersville, but I'm willing to expand the area.
Cool. Thanks for sharing.
Sure.
Lauren?
Hey, I'm Lori. I'm an agent in North and South Carolina. And this will be hopefully the year my husband and I start investing in our first short-term rentals.
So Lori took everything we taught last month about wholesaling, and it intrigued her. And so she's finagling, trying to figure out how to make that all work. But she really took everything that we taught and is executing. So really excited for her. Okay, and Donna, I don't know if you're available, but if you are, then we'd love to meet you.
Hi, I'm Donna. I'm over in Waxhaw, and I'm just starting out in real estate. I'm looking to get a long-term rental. I'm not sure about the area yet, possibly staying in Union County over in Monroe. So I'm just looking to learn here.
Awesome. So we just did introductions, the whole room. So who are you and what are you looking to accomplish of being here?
Great. Sorry I'm late. My name is Jean Wan. I live in Fort Mill. I just moved here 6 months ago from Raleigh. And then I work for EXP, but I'm mainly an investor myself. So I'm looking for some midterm rental, maybe short-term rental in Waxhaw, Charlotte, that geographic area. I know this area is not legally allowed. So I'm also looking for local parks to purchase.
I feel like that's what everyone's looking for these days. Thanks for being here. So, and please know, this is not intended to be Rebecca Cullen teaching you all. If you have experience, which there's a good amount of you that do, then speak up and let's talk about your scenario. I will introduce myself because I don't know everybody in this room or on the screen, but so I'm Rebecca Cullen. I've been a real estate investor since 2009. I house hacked. I couldn't sell my first house, and so I put a renter in there and realized that that was fun and I was really good at it. And so I started to buy more investment properties after that, and was moving every 3 years, and also as an investor buying houses, decided to get my real estate license because I was tired of paying other people commissions. And so really became my niche. about 2017, I started to realize that why would I keep all this information to myself? I would love to teach others, and there's this really great book that's like all over this room called Millionaire Real Estate Investor Book, which I've gifted to some of y'all. That book taught me to, if I just taught other people how to buy 7 properties a year, they too would be able to achieve all their goals. So I started to teach seminars. I partnered with Grid, which is a national company. They are out to Virginia, and there's other chapters across the country. And if you haven't joined the Facebook group yet, the Grid Investor Community is an incredible resource, especially for those of you who want to invest outside of this area. There are constantly deals being put into that group. Reston, Virginia, for example, is where the main crew is, and there's often really great sweet deals that people are putting together. So it's a great resource, and I brought it to Charlotte because I found a need to have these educational conversations. So here we are. We've been doing this for a little over, I think we're like on our 9th month. And so we'll be celebrating a full year in May. Yep, that's the right time. And every topic is always different. So today we are talking about how to find deals. But if you guys have, like, if you're working on a deal, like let's talk about that. Anybody analyzing a deal that we need to chat about?
Right now, I just came across two duplexes.
2 duplexes here?
Yeah, no, in Charlotte. I don't know if we're there, but yeah, 2 duplexes.
But in Charlotte, okay.
And they're tenant occupied right now. So right now, I'm just looking at the numbers, the income sheets and everything, and just trying to see how they did for I think the owner only had it for maybe like 2, maybe 3 years.
Okay.
They had a lot of money put into it. I know they had a lot of plumbing issues, the crawl space needed like refix and things of that sort. So
Are you looking at the cap rate? Do you know what that is?
yeah. So the cap rate is just the expenses and minus from all the income and everything. So 1 to 2 years out, I do a lot more repairs. So what I'm learning or trying to figure out, how do I make sure that the monthly income can still kind of give back to the repairs? I know sometimes it might be out of pocket costs, but how can I still have a monthly rate where it's, good at comps, but also has a pocket to put in for unexpected repairs?
So if the deal doesn't work,
Yeah.
then don't do it. There will be more. Like, don't try to just make it work, because would you be buying it cash or would you be financing?
Finance, I really want to find a partner to go in with it.
Yeah.
But that's kind of why I'm trying to teach myself now. So I do this to a partner.
Yeah.
And it will make sense.
Okay, awesome. Hey, welcome. Hi. That's okay. Just find a seat, and we're just kind of talking about deals that we're analyzing a little bit. We all introduce ourselves, so but yeah, my advice to you, it's awesome that you found duplex, right? Like those are really hard to come by around here. But if the cap rate, if that number does not make sense, if it's less than 8%, especially in this market, my opinion personally is move on to your next deal. And we're going to talk more so that you have abundant amounts of deals to analyze, but it's just not going to be worth it if you can't move it or cash flow from it, right? I don't know enough about the deal to have a true opinion, but I would just underwrite that a little bit more.
Would you still say that even if maybe the income history, it was just the rent rolls is only maybe 2, maybe 3 years old, would you still say move on, or can you just talk to the owner and just kind of get a statement?
I would be happy to chat with you more about that because it sounds like there's some additional information that you need to ask for.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody have thoughts?
Well, this question is in general.
Yeah.
Would there always be renters there? I mean, I don't think kick them out, but I mean, is there other options for it, like maybe doing short term that would probably make your cash flow go a little higher?
The only reason I don't think it would be short term, just because it's not a lot of attraction in the area. It's not too far from downtown, but I know the short term, I'm thinking all maybe every. Because I'm moving faster, but short term, I don't know how that would work for this yet. But so far, it's just kind of off the side of downtown, so I would see it.
You would see it being long-term
Yeah,
more?
or maybe like a year or two, you could call it a year or two, long term.
Yeah, so short-term would be anything less than a week.
Okay,
like-
so the tenant's been in there for like 2 years, so I think the longest tenant was 2 years.
Okay,
So everybody else, I think they have like a year lease.
so midterm is typically 30 plus to 6 months.
Okay.
I mean, really, you can structure anything,
Yeah.
but a long-term lease would be anything more than a year.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So we're just talking about deals that perhaps somebody is excited about or analyzing, needs help, and then we'll get into the curriculum. Anybody else? No? Okay. All right. So how to market deals. Who here is already using a buyer list or a client relationship manager to perhaps find hand raisers? Does that make sense? Does my question make sense? Yeah. Okay. So as a real estate agent, because that's my full-time job or my day-to-day job, we have a client relationship manager that is basically in relationship with people that will likely buy or sell. Then I have Grid, and you guys get emails and reminders and touches. You know, if it's your birthday and we know about it, then you're going to get text messages similarly to our buyers and sellers, but it's a different conversation. And then on the third arm of it, we have people that have already said, hey, put me on your buyer list. Anytime you have a wholesale deal or anytime you have, I like to call it buy the block. We have situations where we know somebody is selling multiple packages of homes, and then we go straight to our investors who we know live in that space and are comfortable, and we just market those to them. So when I say or ask that question, it sounds like that might be a great place for all of us to start, is figuring out how to find hand raisers to say, hey, I want Rebecca Cullen has money and I want to deploy that money. And here's my buyer box. So anytime he comes across in the field and decides not to buy X property, he sends them to Rebecca Cullen because it's in her buyer box. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So have you all, so here's another question. Have you all figured out what your buyer box is if you want to buy properties? Yeah. So would you mind sharing what your,
Yeah, sure, for Charlotte area, it says me32, and I don't want to go to the sell job. Anywhere cosmetic fix up and maybe no older home than 1980s, and the price is somewhere to 200, 250, somewhere there.
so if it was 4 bedrooms and 1 bath, would it be a hard no for you?
Yes, very hard, because if you want to add another bathroom, forget it.
What if does it need to have a garage?
Better, yeah, those are my okay, like, I tell people, this is the must, this is the okay, this is there, you really don't care.
And
That's
do you
the
have a
okay.
price point that you like to say in?
The purchase is 200, 250, around that.
Okay.
Yeah, depends on really.
Were you flipping them or are you renting them? What were you doing with your property?
My initial thought will be take it over, do some cosmetic update, and then put furniture in. I'll evaluate if it's best to do the short-term rental versus long-term rental. Yeah, it depends on the location, the actual council and neighbors.
So your intention is to hold the property then? Okay. Because along with the buyer box, which for me, I used to say I don't have a buyer box, but then I started to realize I needed to have a buyer box. I would literally just buy anything that was a good net. But then I got really clear, okay, 3 beds, 2.5 bath, 2-car garage, under 400. If that comes in front of me and it makes sense and I can rent them out for a good cash flow, I'm usually a yes.
Question, so are you, and apologies, this is a silly question, but are you creating this buyer box just based off of things that you know you can sell or get rid of quickly or move fairly quickly?
Bingo.
Okay.
Yes. Like I have a property that we bought from a colleague in Rock Hill. And Rock Hill is having some really fun challenges with rental restrictions. And we found a tenant who was there for 2 years. And now I'm in a position where I don't want it anymore. Like it will not behoove me to keep it. Because it was in my buyer box, it has a pool. I'm gonna add no pools in my criteria moving forward. That was a $7,000 fix. That was not fun. But now I know that I'm gonna be able to flip that house back to the market probably for $350. And I bought it 2.5 years ago for $230, I think, and cash flowed this whole time, right?
What makes you not want it?
I'm gonna kick myself because I probably in 3 years from now will still want it, but it's just, it doesn't have a garage. It has that pool. It probably would be a better fit for owner occupied.
Okay, so are you basing it off the clients you or the buyers that you already have? And then kind of seeing if you can put next into it?
I could do that, yeah.
Okay.
I'm probably just gonna list it on the market and just, you know, free for all.
Yeah.
I did put it out to my Facebook social media and had like 12 people raise their hand. Nothing came of it. If it were me and I really wanted it, I would have just made an offer right then and there. But based on the 12 hand raisers, I'm probably just gonna list it.
Can I ask the neighborhood then?
It's in Winthrop something.
Okay.
It's right next to Winthrop, but it's
Oh, okay.
not in that side.
Was it University Garden?
I am really good at Rock Hill. I promise. I couldn't tell you what the neighborhood is. Sorry.
What is your rental return that you strive?
Personally, well, now I require $1,000 a month net on each property. And that's because time is valuable and, you know, but it used to be $100. And as I got, because we have 8 properties now.
What price point are your property?
All different.
Okay.
Yeah, all different. So like this is my property, this building, which cash flows $1,000 a month because I have tenants. Yeah, so this is my Cullen Company office, but then I have a stager who rents all the warehouse back there, and I have a plumber in the basement. And so this property, I think I bought it for $632 and is now worth over $1 million. And then I have a VRBO in Holden Beach that I bought for $950 last February. And it took a loss of $50,000, which I needed that loss. There's also strategy to that. Took a $50,000 loss, but it's worth $1.3 million now.
Was that cash or financed?
Financed. I don't know that I answered your question. I have properties that go from $130,000 all the way up to over $1 million.
So what is your $130,000 house? Like what's your rent on that?
That one is $1,900 a month.
Okay, so you're getting more than one.
It's just time, buy and hold. I've also flipped. And again, this is the Rebecca Cullen show, like, we're just using my examples, right? But like, so an agent needed me to make an offer on a house in 2020, downtown Fort Mill. I bought it for $183,000. Put a renter in it in its current condition. That was wild. I got $1,200 a month at that time for it. She moved out, I renovated it, I refinanced it, so pulled out $50,000 more, renovated this building, and then sold that house for $255,000 last year. And I think I got $1,600 in rent at one point in all of that.
Can you say that again? Not
Yeah.
what you just said, but I'm back on your question. Your $130,000 house rents for $1,900 a month?
I bought that in 2018 for $185,000. And it got $1,500 in rent for three years. And then we had to evict tenants last year. It trashed the house, we renovated the house, and now it's $1,900 a month.
What was the renovation cost with the like house?
$24,000. LVP flooring.
Was that your recent one that you
Uh-huh.
had?
Yep,
You self-manage or?
self-managed, yes. Okay, so back to finding deals. So once you're clear on your buyer box, so if everybody was asked the question today, what is your non-negotiable for what you would buy?
No, sir.
No septic, but that was a lesson learned.
It wasn't like.
But you probably cash flow on that.
Oh, yes, we do. Over 1,000.
Awesome. I love it.
And we use that for our syndication. That'd be awesome.
So you're just using your wealth and putting it into others.
Yeah. But now that is definitely a.
No septic.
Yeah.
This has septic. So who else has a buyer box?
I do, mine was very, very similar to hers, like under 250, prefer after 85, but I will also jump out of my buyer box if there's a big.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Where's your short term?
They're all, short-term at Myrtle Beach,
Myrtle, okay. Are they in condo associations or are they homes?
so they're all condos.
Yeah, okay. So that's also something to consider. So if you are looking at townhomes or condos, make sure that your spread includes your association fees. Right?
All of your association, because some of them have simple. Yeah. All of them.
Yes.
After a lease has been signed, well, a long term, long term.
Yeah.
That's, even when I made the phone call, okay, how are we doing? Are we gonna be raising? No, we're not. And then I let the tenant sign the lease and yes, they did go up.
Yeah.
We mean go up, you just mean the expenses that.
The HOA is ready to have a meeting and vote on it. And it had been turned down before, and I said, is that coming up? And they were, no, it's not, we're not gonna raise them, they're gonna just wait, and sure enough, they had a meeting, and they raised the rates.
So,
And I'd already signed, and I already had my tenant sign the lease, so then I had to, eat that. So my spread shrunk.
But it was only a year, or did you do a longer lease?
No, it was only a year.
Okay,
It was only a year.
all right.
Because that lease comes up right before that time, so I learned it, okay, now I'll judge it better.
So even with the HOA, fee going up, you already have a lease, that lease set in stone, just because the HOA increase, you can't set it.
No, if the lease is signed,
Yeah.
no, I can't go back to them and say, hey, guess what, surprise. They can't do that. Yeah.
I have a couple of thoughts about clever ways to add value to a situation like that. For example, if there's no washer and dryer, then you can rent the washer and dryer to your tenant. $50 extra a month or so, one way. And then if there's a shed or if there's like an outbuilding at one of your properties, lease the shed to them for an additional fee. Not just give it to them. Spot. Not that in that.
It doesn't
situation.
fit in mine,
Yeah.
but that's a good idea.
So again, buyer box, what is your brand? So like when people think of you and what you're buying, is it something specific? Like buy the block, my friend Dominique, she literally has as her brand, buy the block. And when I have packages, I'm probably gonna call her.
I have buyers that really interested in Airbnb, just do this type of things.
Mhm.
So, and that's, I think, where I'm finding a little bit hard to navigate in the Charlotte area to find those deals that accept Airbnb.
Yeah, I think there's a group that networks specifically around that and just connect with them. Yeah, it's getting harder in Charlotte, for sure. But there's areas that allow it. That I think NODA is still allowed, and like down Siegel Avenue is still allowed. Cool. All right. Does everyone know what a client relationship manager is? Yes. Okay. So a spreadsheet could be that, but a really great tool for those who want a free tool would be MailChimp. MailChimp has access to up to 2,000 emails, and you can just plug people into there. And if you, so for any of our other topics that we've had where wholesale or you're trying to sell one of your properties, if you're not a real estate agent, then if you create a buyer list or a list of hand raisers that in the past have said, oh, when you find X, I will buy that, or when I have X, I will sell that to you. You can just add them into MailChimp. And
MailChimp, hey, Rebecca.
Yes.
MailChimp sent us an email yesterday saying they're dumbing down the free version to 500 contacts.
Okay, so 500.
Yeah, HubSpot's another good free one.
Good thing I pay for MailChimp. Okay, thank you for that.
So do you use MailChimp as your CRM?
So we have another CRM, and this is being recorded, but I'm still gonna say it. I don't poop in my pool. So when, yeah, so like, if I want to send out something that I know people will likely unsubscribe or it's kind of annoying, then I send it through MailChimp, because I don't want my actual client relationship manager to have a whole bunch of unsubscribes, because then I can't speak to these people again.
Okay.
So I do my mailing, my emails through a different way than my texting and my staying in touch with people. Yeah. I learned that the hard way though. How to mass unsubscribe. And I was like, I literally had to call people. I know you didn't want to unsubscribe. I know you want to opt in. I know you want our giveaways. Yeah. So make sure that you're building lists, finding hand raisers. If you are looking for deals, so you're the buyer, if you're looking for deals, one of the best ways is to connect with a whole bunch of real estate agents and or wholesalers. Right now, especially in the Charlotte market, there's a ton of wholesalers who are trying to offload properties that are way overpriced. And so if you can find something off market, like were the duplexes that you found, were they on the market or were they off market?
I would think they was on the market, I had called a broker.
Yeah.
Look at it, you know.
Great. So that was your way to do it. If you find an off-market deal, then you can spend a little bit more time analyzing it, right? Like once it hits the market, everybody's looking at it, including wholesalers. So your spread and your analyzing time is cut short when it hits the market. So like for me, I make it very clear what I'm looking for to other real estate agents because they're probably not going to buy it, but I will. And then I just get on a whole bunch of lists.
So telling other realtors, is that your number one way to find off-market properties?
It is for me, especially like, I can't tell you the last time I didn't buy from an agent needing to get their, like there was a contingency or there was a bridge need where they couldn't buy their next property. So I just went ahead and bought it if it made sense for me.
Right.
So it helps them. I also have sellers. So I bought I had a hand raiser. We were going to list the house. And then I sat there and I'm like, I want to just buy this. And I made it very clear, like, here's I'm going to go under contract with you and the house is going to appraise for 50,000 more, like full disclosure. And she's like, I don't want to have to deal with this anymore. So that was a gift that I was able to do. But I also, like, I screwed the neighborhood, but I bought the house and there was a tenant who moved out and I raised rent by $400. So that was another strategy. It worked in my buyer box. Other things, some of us are like open to any deal that is there. Choose your market. So like you found Texas. It was Dallas? Okay. So would you do more in Dallas?
Yeah, I would, but it's kind of now about finding the right property. So that's why I'm here to listen to make sure, but I'm very open to many types of options.
So if I told you about a deal in Huntsville, Alabama, would you be open to that if it made sense monetarily?
I would.
So I love that. And it might become exhausting. So like you now live here.
Well, let me just say, it's hard enough, like, the reason I got it was because I have a business partner, which is my sister, but trying to manage from afar has been very difficult.
I believe it.
So that's why I was like, well, I gotta start something here so I can be hands-on and physical, but I can only do so much.
Right.
From here.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So you may, and thank you for playing along, but you may wake up tomorrow and be like, okay, I have to stick with the Charlotte market, whether it's, you know, the perimeter, Gastonia, Mount Holly, Monroe, wherever there's really a better Spencer Mountain, Kings Mountain, like all the outskirts that people have not quite found yet. Maybe you've woken up and you've decided, I'm just going to stay here. And you're probably not interested in Clemson again. Is that fair?
I know it's going well.
Okay, so then maybe Clemson's your place.
Yeah.
So what you know is Seneca and that area.
Yeah. Would I go to Clemson? Not sure, but the outskirt is working well around the lake.
Yeah.
Do you
So
show manage that?
No, no.
Got
This is our
it.
first one.
But so if you were to call Robert, for example, and be like, hey, find me another one, exactly, without septic,
Which would be hard.
so find me another one like that, we could probably go work for you and find within a few days, maybe. I had, maybe some of y'all met, I don't know who was here last time, but Angela and Brian Demers called me and were like, we have literally been dying to buy something for a year. Like literally like begging someone to take my money, take their money. And we sat down, I understood their goals, and like within a week and a half, I got them under contract. And it was because we were super clear on what their goals were, how much they wanted to cash flow, proximity of where it was. They were looking in Myrtle Beach for a little bit. But because we were super, super clear, I think that's why we were able to make it happen. But literally, like for a year, we're begging someone to take their money, made like a few offers. And the first offer we placed, we got it for 40,000 below list or 30,000 below list.
Were there realtors involved on both sides?
Yeah.
But it's still with that, it still makes sense.
Totally. Yep. But it was the conversation around clarity and what their non-negotiables were. The inspection's tomorrow, so I hope it's all. And if it doesn't, then we'll just move on, right? Like, that's why we have inspections. So choose your market, that's the next step. Analyze the potential. So once you master a market, make sure that you're really clear on what cap rates are. Does everyone know what an actual cap rate is? So it's net operating income divided by purchase price. So if you don't have, like, for example, you have all the information of rent schedules and repair costs and all these things. So then figure that out. You should be able to get your net operating income from the current rent schedule. And then whatever the purchase price is, if that percentage is lower than, I'm gonna say 7%. Like for me, it's 10%. Like I won't touch that unless, but like the margin and the interest rates going up, it might be okay at 7%, but just know like that's not a great deal.
Even with it being 7%, what does that do? That just kind of puts in place how much income you will be getting, just to, because let's say you want to grow the property and everything, you want to put in work to it. Would buying it at 7% still be ideal, or even going lower than that and just kind of?
You want to go higher with this percent. With this percentage, you want it up. It wants to go up.
Even if it's a more expensive deal, you still go up with it, or?
So the cap rate is what I'm trying to explain this easily. So the purchase price may have to go down to make the percentage work. So yes, if rents can go up, like if you see that, awesome, but that's not a fixed, like that's a variable, right? So maybe rents will go up, but they might not. Somebody may not end up renting it for 5 months. So it's a variable. So you want to figure out what all your fixed items are and things that you can control, and then base your decision off of that.
Your number should be current, right? Because a lot of times what people put is, or you could rent it for 1,500, but it's currently renting for 1,000. Well, your number should be based off of 1,000, not the potential.
Yeah, because then that's gravy. That's like icing on the cake. And right now, especially with the market changing and cash not being like, cash is not king right now. It is inflated and it could go down, right? And so when I think about anything purchase wise, I think about cash flow, not equity that is unrealized. Like I can say that house I can sell in April at 350, but the reality is the market might go down, the interest rates may go up, and I'm looking at 320. It's still a good equity deal for me, but I should have sold it today.
Yeah.
Right. Does that make sense? Okay. Do I still have you guys out there? Okay. So the other piece is value proposition. So why are people going to call you first? Like think about, I don't know what that show, Flip or Flop, like with Tarek El Moussa, where they're like constantly calling him because he can analyze a deal and decide whether or not he wants to deploy his money. Like he can say yes or no all day long because he has enough deals to underwrite. So how do we make that happen for all of you all? If that's what you want. Because if you had 5 deals that you were analyzing, you would be able to see this may not be the right deal. I'm not saying that it isn't, but I'm just saying, if you had 5 to choose from, then you would get more picky about it. Versus, I have to buy something today because I have a tax challenge that I'm facing, or maybe I have $40,000 of a gain somewhere that I need to buy something to offset that. There were a lot of people that in December just deploying money without any rhyme or reason. There were probably mistakes that they made. So what is your value proposition and why should people pick up the phone or email you all of the deals?
Quick closing, no inspection, no appraisal.
That's awesome. Yeah. So if we have a seller that matches your buyer box and you can promise all of that, why would people not come to you? Right. So who is curious how to get people to call them?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I know that I need these things.
Because the firm, the agents I work with are not in the same price range that I'm looking at. Way over. So
Okay.
using them, I mean, I can certainly do that's why I asked you to do is, just realtors, but it would have to be a lot more realtors that are outside of my firm. But yeah, so I am interested.
Well, and like Chris and Lori, and so this is why we do this. Like I am often finding myself in investor networking groups, and we've talked about like I'm always in those networking conversations because I literally want to know about things before it hits the market, or I want to hear about this challenge that someone has that maybe I can solve through hard money or whatever. And so this is the perfect venue for it, but also the bigger group. There's like, I don't know, 150 of us in the Charlotte grid now. And I do think that agents should be buying more of their properties. I truly do. Like Pete, you probably, and Jeff, you probably see it. We're in the same office. Every time somebody posts something, I'm like, you all better be putting your email address in there so that you can buy it, not because you have a buyer for it. Like, I think that's such a missed opportunity. Like someone put in Greenwood, South Carolina, they have a 10-plex and the rents are a little bit low, but it could be a great cash flow in the future. For me, I didn't have enough information to make a good decision, and it felt noisy for me, but like 20 agents put their email address. Hey, I have a buyer, I'm like, why are you not buying this? Right? Like,
Actually analyze that one.
did you? Good.
No, it didn't mean mine.
Oh, well, and so, and Ryan Bigger, Ryan and Heather Bigger, who are fantastically successful agents. They were off market selling the Pike House down in Rock Hill at Winthrop University and posted it on our closed Facebook page. And there were probably like 25 people that were like, send me deeds. The only 2 offers were 2 of us as licensed agents. It was me and Alex Krasnoff, and Alex ended up getting it. And it's like, why? It was $350,000, and you can turn it into a 9 class. I mean, she's spending a lot of money on it, and she's doing a great job, but that was a huge opportunity for any of our agents. That's why I'm saying that, because we come across these deals. But again, wholesalers also are coming across these deals, or you talk to your friends and your people who are in these distressed situations. It's not necessarily like a coffee chat where people talk about foreclosures or challenges. But if you just casually come into conversation with someone at work and you're like, hey, I'm actually an investor and I've been looking for these kind of properties. Do you know of anybody? It might be them that's in a situation that you could solve.
So I kicked myself because I had a situation like that. So brother-in-law who was moving out to Oregon and he needed to sell his property, but wait until June. And I looked at it and the ability to flip it, right? And you're making 2 times your return on investment. So try talking to him and it just kind of went south, right? Okay. So I think the big thing was in trying to preserve the relationship. At the end of the day, I think if I sold it and made money on it, it would have been upset. And
got it. Yeah.
so because of that, I kicked myself because I was like, man, maybe I should have just done it. But yeah.
It's kind of a gift.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So conversation, it kind of turned out that.
Well, and then here's the other thing, like in that situation, how do you make it a win-win? So maybe I love seller financing deals. And so in that scenario, could he have kept it and you both together have made money?
Right, so I was thinking after the fact, right, of doing a joint venture, right, splitting the profit after, I'll go in, I'll do the rehab, everything else, pay myself back, and then whatever the profit is, we just split, but that was after.
Right,
already.
hindsight.
Yeah.
But now you know what to look for when you're having those conversations.
Yeah.
Subject to, and these are all future grid conversations, but like, if you start getting creative, maybe you don't have the money to do this, but somebody has paid off their home and you can do a seller financing deal and all they are getting is monthly payments, which is kind of like a lease or a rent, where you're flipping it while you're paying them for the house that you're flipping. And then you do a balloon payment once the house is totally flipped. They get paid, you get paid, and then you deploy it into a 1031 on your next deal. Right, like that, I might be talking a little over people's head on that scenario, but like, that would be a great way to make a whole lot of money.
So do you find a lot of sellers that are willing to listen to you on seller financing?
The answer is yes, when there's no representation. Like if there's a real estate agent that's serving a seller, like, okay, every single person right now has access to realtor.com. And you find a house and there's likely a listing agent attached. If that listing agent has no idea what you're talking about, they're probably gonna say, not a great deal. Let's go try to find a conventional offer or a cash offer. Now, if you have a front-loaded conversation with that agent around why that is actually a great opportunity, and maybe they don't need that money to go buy the next house, then that's a circumstance that could work. Hey, Candace.
So just hypothetically, in that exact example, how does that listing agent get paid?
It still is on the closing disclosure.
Okay.
Yeah, so, hey, do we have, yeah, okay, perfect. So, I'll give you a scenario. So I'm currently under contract with a client. Both of them, both seller and buyer have representation. And it was advertised on the MLS what everybody's receiving. Seller financing is happening and we go through attorneys. The seller is going to pay the brokers out of cash, out of hand. That we decided. Otherwise, it would have, we would have had to wait until the balloon payment. But the seller agreed to it.
With it in the MLS, the seller financing, or you just make that work?
No, we just made it work. Yep. Actually, a great opportunity. Yeah. So 3 ways to generate leads. This is what everyone's been waiting for. So you prospect, which is pick up the phone and cold call. That's one way to prospect. No. So if there was a sign in the yard of a for sale by owner and it matched your buyer box, would you call? Yeah, so that's prospecting. Zillow used to have what was called Make Me Move. Those were all for sale by owners, and they just put their phone number right in there. Right, and so I don't think that happens anymore. I think Zillow hides that. But Make Me Moves are also a really great way to prospect for opportunities. Another great way is tax liens. We talked a lot about that last month, where yes, it feels a little dirty maybe, but you could be blessing somebody by acquiring their tax lien. So you're essentially buying the house, $4,000 or whatever the lien is, if they agree to it.
But the money for purchasing that, a tax lien has to be, it's either gotta be cash or it's coming out of, you can't go get a loan for that. From typical, so it's gotta be from cash or a home equity line of
Yes,
credit or a credit card or something.
Yes. Yeah, and the tax office, because I've paid off a couple people's taxes, it has to be a cashier's check. Yeah.
And they have it, you're right. You get back.
They do, if it was about to go to auction, yes, they have a year. But you would want to pull title and do all those and like actually have a true closing before executing on that. Because there might be more clouds on the title, but it's a really inexpensive way to prospect. Networking is another way, which is what we're doing right now. I find myself at investor networking meetings often. There's some Zoom ones. You just came from a networking group. I wish I had known about that prior to today. But there were probably a lot of people that were talking about deals there, right? And then marketing. So who knows the difference between prospecting and marketing?
Marketing costs money.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is the biggest difference. Prospecting is literally just you grinding, and marketing is whatever that dollar amount is. You know, the bandit signs. Curtis was here last time. He's a wholesaler. I mean, I can't imagine that he spent more than like $1,000. There's a lot of these signs out there, but like I know that's his sign because they're branded to him, and they are literally, these blue and yellow signs are literally like all over our neighborhood. Like now you'll notice them.
Yeah.
But it says, we will buy your house. And it was Curtis, and he did a great job, but that's marketing. He spent money on those. I'm actually curious how many deals he's gotten just from those signs.
Well, especially now because you have competition from, you know, there's a new guy, I don't even know his name. If you had Mark Spain, all, you know, we'll get that. This other you guys that says, we'll buy it in, 10 days, and, I mean, it's just getting harder and harder, I think.
Yeah, but why can't you do that?
10 days cash, you have to get myself organized to do that.
But you probably also, if, okay, so this is agent to agent conversation, but if you had to find someone who could buy in 10 days or less, you could probably find somebody if it wasn't you, right? So like you're attached to that somehow.
Yeah.
For hard money lenders.
Hard money.
Yeah,
lenders.
that's what I need to really honestly get a list of, because it makes me nervous to say, sure, I will close in 10 days, and if I don't have, some really solid people that I know are ready to do that, that would make me nervous.
Yeah. We had a few months ago, we had a hard money lender and a private money lender actually come and talk to the group. Eric and Noah, and I Fund Cities is Eric, and Noah is out of Columbia, Ria. But they're two great options for deploying money. I can connect you to them.
A quick question on that.
Yeah.
Does a situation where you have to go around a hard money lender change how your buyouts go, or change how you see your cap?
Yes, because you would have to put all those expenses into your NOI section. Yeah, great question. But that's not a permanent cost. Eventually that's going to go away. So your cap will go up at that point, ideally. So it, like in the circumstance of the duplex, if it's less than 8% today, but you know that that hard money loan is going to go away in, I don't know, 4 months, 5 months, then maybe the cap rate goes up.
Gotcha. But somebody like me who has never done a deal, would I be able to go to a hard money lender and say, hey, I need this amount of cash in today? Like, does it have to be some type of relationship or trust built there? Like, they don't necessarily know me.
Yes, so yes, usually, unless you are introduced to them by somebody who has a relationship.
Yeah.
And I've never done any property flipping, anything, but I think I just sold myself, and when I went to do, I don't know if I just got really lucky, but it worked out.
Yeah.
So
Or if you can sell a deal, you don't have any experience with them making a deal.
Right. Yeah, like
it wasn't easy. I called a lot of people, but you have to just keep pushing.
it's almost like, I don't know if you've ever been in this situation, but like like when you have a business that you're launching and you need to get a loan from the bank to launch that business, most of the time they'll say no, unless you have a really good business plan or you've proven yourself in other ways.
Right. And that's only I'm like thinking who is though to these individuals, like you said, the deals with that sense. I guess I'd have to see a deal and get my hands on a deal and determine, if it makes sense fast enough. But like I said, it may make sense to me, and then I present this deal to somebody and I'm like, dude, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and
I guess I just have to get my hands.
I love poking holes in people's deals. Like I really do. I had a colleague today say, here's my plan. Like, this is my forever goal. And I loved it, but I can't fall in love with it until it's deployed. So my question came to her as, hey, did you think about this? Hey, when you have your business plan together, can you present it to me? And I'd love to poke holes in it.
Yeah.
And she welcomes that. There's no ego in it. I'm just trying to think worst case scenario.
Gotcha.
It's almost like a pro forma, if you've ever done a pro forma before. Okay, so generate leads those ways. Marketing, if you have money, it'll happen faster, but I promise you prospecting works. If you put a little grind into it, like you built a pretty big business down in Miami, you grinded, and now you're probably going to do that same thing here. But the good news is you're familiar with the area. It's not like this is a brand new area. And you could probably recreate what you did there here.
I'm the right connection.
Good. So the final thing is budget. I did not do this the right way. And 2019 went totally broke, had to sell some houses to that. The good news is I had the houses to be able to sell. Like we were in that situation. So, but we made challenging decisions, ended up selling some of our favorite assets because we needed the money fast. And we were able to rebuild after that. But make sure if you're doing your first deal that you're really comfortable with the numbers. So don't try to make something work if it doesn't. Because then you won't be able to sell it, or you won't be able to lease it, and you'll have to make challenging decisions. That's why what happened in 2008 to 2012 happened, because people did not make good budget they didn't analyze the budgets, or they got approved for something that they should have never gotten approved for, right? So when you're tracking your marketing activity, track how many hand raisers you're collecting. Hey there. Oh, it's fine. So track how many hand raisers you're getting. There's more chairs. Here, take that. No, you take that, and I'll sit here. We're almost done, anyways. But so, oh, no, it's not. What was I saying? Budget. When you find hand raisers, make sure that you're tracking how many calls or how many emails that it took for you to get that. Yeah, KPI. Now, your KPIs will help you forecast for the future. So if you're putting up, I don't know, again, I want to call Curtis and be like, how many signs did you put up? How many phone calls are you getting? Like, I would imagine he probably put up 100 signs and at least 30 phone calls. Hopefully he's gotten some deals, but he's probably tracking his KPI and his return. If you're doing any clicking, like you're paying for a click, pay per click, Google ads, those kind of things. Hey, we'll buy houses. The guys, we buy ugly houses, like those are actual, that's an investor company, big one. They pay for Google ads to get the hand raisers. I think I've been seeing someone will buy mobile homes. That's been like all the rage in Fort Mill here recently. They're probably paying for ad spend also. So if you do that, I don't suggest that you do it because there's a lot of free ways, but just make sure you're tracking that and hold your dollars accountable. Figure out what your budget is. So if your intention is to not buy with an actual loan, how much cash do you need? How are you going to get that cash? And are you comfortable with the interest rate that you may have on a hard money loan? And don't stray from your buyer box.
What kind of rates do you typically see on the farm?
Like 14%. What was yours?
12.
Yeah. High. But the whole point is to get rid of it. Right. You either refinance into something else or you're done, right? In cash. Say that one more time. Yeah. It just depends. Yeah, so well, right now, how long has your project been? 6 months?
Just about, but it wasn't, the inside wasn't complete. It was,
Right.
we're going through the whole, basically it's like a flip, but a brand new house. Okay.
So I always like to err on the like longer period. If I need to have a year, then I will, but I want to pay it off as soon as possible. So like if I'm structuring, like if I'm loaning you money, I'm gonna ask for it to be paid back in 5 months. I want it back. But you're probably gonna negotiate with me for a longer term so that you're not rushed. I don't care because there's gonna be interest on it and I'm gonna get paid back eventually. But it would be behoove you to negotiate the longer period and for me to negotiate the shorter period. You're gonna have that balance back and forth.
You know, why would you want to negotiate shorter? Because you want that money to invest?
Potentially, I want to move on to the next project.
Just my money.
Yeah,
Did you pay upfront fees with that as well?
yes,
Okay,
yep,
so we get that one fee with everything.
What kind of an upfront fee? I mean, I don't mean the amount, was it a set amount or was it for some things, like who pays the attorney to drop the paperwork and stuff like that?
the buyer. So typically, yeah,
Okay,
typically buyer.
so if you were lending the hard money.
Huh?
So what was the upfront fee besides that you charge? Is it just a flat fee and then here's the deal, here's the interest?
Yeah, so it's usually a percentage of what the money is, kind of like structured like a loan, like a conventional loan. So did you put 3% down or do you remember your loan structure?
I don't remember, but since we were doing construction, we put in the money as well to finish the house. So not only was it what we purchased the house for, but the construction costs as well.
Yeah.
And then have the interest rate and then the tiling company, and of course, you know, there was other fees that were tacked in there.
Did you add in like furnishings? Into
Yeah,
that?
so we had to put a budget up front to
Yeah.
finish it, so you go through how much is gonna cost to do the wall, how much is it gonna cost to do this, is gonna, so you had to give them a budget, and then they would say, okay, we'll cover this much, and some of it you may still come out of pocket in the long run, so it's, again, it's one of those things, they have to believe in your project, or they may not fully believe in it.
Yeah.
But you gotta have a little money to kind of offset some of the possible things that can pop up.
Now, when it came to this project, you having different jobs, different expenses, you kind of all put that together. So when it comes to like paying that off, did you pay everybody separate long term? How did you
So
fund that stuff?
So we created a budget for how much we thought it would finish it, and then from there, we hired contractors to do the specific jobs. So what happens is, as you do the jobs, you'll ask them for the money back, so you can pay your contractors. So you do draws.
Yeah, so there's construction of perm loans also that, you know, if you have raw land and you buy raw land and then you build on top of that, that would be your construction. It's similar, but they would draw from that also. But you have to hire a GC to manage the project. Cool. Any more questions around budget? No. Any questions out there? Zoom world? Do you know how to find a deal?
So the ways to generate prospecting, your cold calling, tax liens, and then networking, and then some marketing. And then I wrote down Zillow made me move, but you said that they're taking that away.
Yeah, I mean, it's, go on FSBO.com, go on forsalebyowner.com, go to create a relationship with a tax attorney, create a relationship with a divorce attorney, right? Like whatever it takes to find that deal. Financial advisors typically are in conversations with folks who are trying to offload properties. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I mean, you could get really creative. Friends. I'm just going through my Rolodex of people.
Can I circle back and ask a question? I know you mentioned you talked about it a lot in your last meeting, so if I have to just channel up with you all to a can. So you mentioned tax liens. It sounded a very inexpensive way to get your hands on a property, but it also sounded risky. But you said that you could lose the house within a year. So like you pay $4,000, for example, you get a house, but someone has up to a year to take the house back. Is that what you said?
That's if you're getting it at auction then.
Yeah, I think it's not gonna do the auction. They have a year to pay that. Actually, catch it up and then they just pass by. So you would take possession of it. So if you tied up $100,000. For a year, so you may get that house. So you have to have that money.
But don't you get money, isn't there fees tacked on top of that? So let's say you paid $4,000 for it and somebody in 6 months says, okay, I have the money now. You're not just getting $4,000 back, you're getting an additional percentage on top of what you.
An interest rate.
So
Yeah,
So you're not walking away with just what you put into it, you're getting a little bit.
but the best way to get ahead of it is to go on the default, like not necessarily, it's already at auction.
Right.
Once it gets to auction, then it's like sharks and
Yeah.
minutes. But if you go, because you can go on, like the other day, I went on York County and you can see everybody who missed paying for the last 3 years. Well, it's not gonna hit the auction until October. I think the list comes out in September or October. And then you can essentially just say, hey, I noticed you weren't able to pay your bills. Is there any way that you would offload? I mean, whatever you want to say. I'm blunt, right? Like, hey, I don't want to like go around it, but they may not be able to afford a $200 tax bill.
So in an instance like that, I could potentially take possession of the home before you even get.
You would actually close with
Yeah.
the owner separately. Like it wouldn't be an auction situation.
Gotcha.
Because at that point, it has now been deed foreclosed, whatever, I don't know the term, sorry. I'm looking at you, Candace, because you've been doing this longer. Yeah, that's probably it, yeah.
Yeah, I have a question on that. So you're saying you actually contact the owner of the house,
Yes,
the owner of the property?
yeah, because you're snooping.
Mhm.
You're snooping on the website, basically. So that could be just a mail. Hey, I noticed that you weren't able to pay your taxes. Call me if you need help.
So you don't just, so that's the only way to do it. You don't just look and see how much is there and then send in a check to the
No.
county or something.
Not in this circumstance, no. Because otherwise you just paid their tax.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. But some people do that. Like there are angels that do that.
There's some that will pay you, the government wants that money and then they're gonna get, just like what you were saying, and they pay you back an interest on that.
I mean,
and then you have the option.
if you want to do that as your business.
Yeah.
Cool. My intention is to buy a house.
Yeah.
No. So the people I know that have bought the tax lien properties at the tax auction that happens at the end of the year.
Yeah.
They all have clouds.
Yeah.
And, I've never met anybody that's bought one where they can then, like, let's say they wait the year and a day, and then they can sell it with clear general warranty deed, like, they have to go through steps to clear that, so, I mean, is that your understanding too?
Yes. For the most part, I mean, I've had like 2 or 3 that there were not clouds. But yes, for the most part, there are clouds. Which is why it's better to go after them before it gets there, because then you can actually clear a title cloud while you're under contract versus after the fact.
That's just something to keep in mind that, you know, if you buy that property at the tax auction, the county is taking that property forcefully from that owner. So that title ends up having a little bit of a cloud on it, even if they don't owe nothing but the taxes.
Yeah.
that probably still has a cloud on it, so when you go to try to resell it to a retail buyer, which is the kind of buyers that us realtors typically work with, they can't buy it with a loan because of that cloud, which means that the cloud has to be cleared, and everyone I've ever tried to do, I mean, it's thousands of dollars to clear that, right? Because the attorney then has to sue that previous owner plus all of their heirs if they're, like, it is a, and you have to sue the state of South Carolina. It's like a big process, so you're taking your way. Thing they say, if you hold the property for 10 years, it automatically quiets. Because what they're trying to do when they're just doing all that suing and stuff is to quiet the title.
Yeah.
And so if you hold the property for 10 years, that title will just naturally quiet itself, you know, but most people, it's like, they want quick money and they want to be able to flip it and you can't. So that's just do your research. And that's what she was saying, make sure your attorney is looking at whatever else might be on that title. That's just something to keep in mind. And the tax assessor's office or wherever, it's not their job to educate you. Right. And so most people are like, oh, you know, all this other stuff. So
Yeah.
you gotta do your research on that.
And most of that type of stuff, you have to expose.
Right.
That type of stuff, it's gonna be tied up.
I had a property, it's a high. And then, you know, we were back in the calls, like not even 7 days. And then we got the calls, and it's actually not this current owner's tax, it's previous owner's tax. But they bought cash, so they didn't go through, I was behind it. So after delay, I was trying to get the tax right off and everything, so we closed it January 3rd, which is already very quick, since I consult so many people. I never encountered IRS name, but it's over 10 years. Theoretically, it should be clear, but still we have to go paperwork, to be sure.
Find some slam dunks. Find some slam dunks.
That's easy.
Yeah, there's definitely. Yes.
Might be easier to do some financing.
It is easier. It's just education.
Look, my thinking is have to think about it is, you know, the market being so high, and people offer over list. Seller thinks, oh, I can get 350,000 for this house, it's really worth 275.
Yeah.
You could come in and say, I'll offer you 325. If you give me, you know, what do you have to have cash money? You say $10,000, 20,000. You give him that, you offer him the 325, 1% interest.
Yeah.
Anything, I mean, everything goes.
4%, yeah, yeah.
But, yeah.
Yep.
Offering 350 at 1%.
Yep.
You know, raise your price, lower interest.
Yep.
You know, go 375 for zero. If the house is worth, you know, you gotta be able to put something in there for 500, whatever.
Yep. And there might be some situations where someone wants to 1031 something and they can't technically receive any income through the process until they're ready to execute the 1031. And so they may not have any interest. It might be 100% financing with no interest down. It just depends on what their goals are.
Everything's negotiable.
Yeah.
All parties agree.
This is helpful, or was it really confusing? Good. Okay.
I found out that I don't charge enough rent. And it's not getting that.
50,000 per month, you pay 60,000 back.
Yeah. And like, for those who are nervous about short-term rentals, I think in the right areas and with the right time, if there's not a property manager, if you're doing it yourself, like there's a lot of opportunity with short-term rental in other areas. Then there's midterm, the Furnish Finders is a great tool. We have we have 3 that we manage right now that are always booked with furnished finders. And we make lots of money with that. And then I just love buy and holds. I just know, here's another strategy, guys. Make sure you are renewing at the 6-month mark. Don't wait until 30 days before they're moving out. Like, get them to sign another lease at the 6-month mark. That way you know it's rented, or you can start advertising early. December and January were the hardest months to fill rentals.
Okay, and is the furniture finders, what exactly?
Furnished finders. So that's a website. It's like Airbnb, but it's catering to traveling nurses. And there's professionals on there too. So it's not just traveling nurses. I think we got a construction team that came in. But they're all highly qualified.
The airline type.
Yeah, pilots.
And, what is it? All stewards.
Yeah, flight attendants. But you're right.
There's a big market for that.
Yep.
Which I didn't know until I had a client that was a flight attendant and she was looking and I was like, what?
Yep.
What?
Furnished finders. They're great.
Rent a bunk bed and yeah.
Yeah, and they're never there.
Right.
But you can charge same rent.
You say short term is 3 months, 6 months?
Short term is less than 30 days. Well, it's really like 7 days, but. Think about hotel when you think about short term.
When you're marketing, do you actively market to any like specific groups like the hospitals? Or do you let Furnished Finder do its thing and someone just searches you and finds you?
I've been letting Furnished Finder do its thing, but when we can't fill something, yes, I will call. I have a corporate housing connection. I have and for Furnished Finder, like you have to furnish it, right?
So you're charging, I mean, that's kind of the purpose of midterm, but you are charging more than you would charge somebody that's in a normal rental. So it's obviously more lucrative if you can get somebody in those properties.
Yeah, so we're charging for our Pineville property, $3,300 a month.
Right.
Furnished with utilities. Our Rock Hill property is $2,984 a month, and it stays full all the time with Furnished Finders. And then I can't think of the other one.
On short-term rentals, if it's such, for example, like you were saying, in specific areas, so the mountains, the beach, I mean, places that people want to go stay for a week, because that's short-term. So if they're so good, then why are they for sale?
You mean because maybe their goals have changed?
Because the seller's box has changed?
Or maybe they're not making any money and they're portraying it differently. I've been on the first time, or not, it's a short-term rental group. And like every day, someone's like, where are the renters? We're not rented. What's wrong with my property? And I'm like, well, when you look, the pictures suck.
Yeah, there you go.
Right? Or like, they're extraordinarily expensive. I keep mine super expensive because I don't want it full when I want to go. So if someone's going to rent it, I want thousands of dollars. So I keep it high, and when it gets rented, then I make thousands of dollars. So that is also a strategy, but like I'll knock it down $200 if a friend is like, hey, can I rent out your place? I'll change the pricing for them.
Right.
The management. That's one in Oxford. The same, even close location, very similar house to 3 to 6. The well-managed one can be several times this one. That's why you see all the low. Vacancy or it's not rented. But there's, yeah, always. So the midterm rental is then roughly 2 to 2.5 times of the long-term rental that people are maybe back in this region.
I think
2.5.
I think that's fair. Yeah. You're welcome. Any other questions?
What are you using as far as your data? Is there a site you're using when you're looking at a property for short-term rentals? I know there's like.
AirDNA. Yeah, I use the free version. If I can't figure it out from their zip code, then I will probably call a real estate agent or a local property manager if it's not in my area.
Okay.
I love contacting subject matter experts. I don't want to have to chase the info. Yeah, but AirDNA for the most part is where I look.
Okay. I have a question. I am very new in all this, like, establishment, and I want to start investment. And I have a couple ideas about to, like, rent and buy a house in the mountain. How can I find that kind of place to, I can buy?
So typically I use keywords or using keywords, like it's already filled. So if you're looking for a currently rented place, then the keyword would be cash flow or has a tenant or those kind of things. For the first few years that I was buying here in Charlotte, I was only buying anything that was filled. So I would call property managers and I would be like, hey, do you have any sellers that would offload their properties? And that was the route that I went. If you go to like, where's an area that you want to buy?
Maybe by in any area around here, like the mountain, maybe.
So like Asheville or Boone or, okay.
Asheville.
So Boone, Blowing Rock has really strict short-term rental restrictions, like super restricted. So you would probably, do you want water? There's water, okay. In that room, there's water. You're choking and turning red.
Yes.
So.
It's that bad information.
But so I would call a property manager and just see if there's any of their properties that someone's planning to offload. Right? You're welcome. That would be probably the fastest way. And then if someone's looking here in Charlotte, you call property managers. If you want them already rented.
How many ideas? The other one is buy a house by the college and rent them for the students.
That's a great idea. Yeah, then just door knock. Right? Like just go and knock on doors, see who will sell.
If you want to try the graduate doctor student and then furnish it and then have a cleaning flow, you charge premium by room. It's very popular. Instead of the undergraduate.
There's Rentley, I think, or Rentley rents by room. So
Yeah, that's the house. We went to college.
yeah.
So I had to do this. Yeah, I spent a lot of money buying the house.
One of my first renter or investor clients in 2016, I met him at an open house and he literally comes in and he goes, I'm buying my first house. So this is his first house ever. And I'm like, cool, how much? He's like, $500,000 my budget. I'm like, I wish as a first time home buyer, that was my budget also. And as we're going through and we go under contract, he's like, I need a 5-bedroom house. And I'm thinking, why? His whole intention was to rent each room. And he did. And he bought this beautiful house in Almond Glen over here in Indian Land. And it was actually a 6-bedroom house. And he got 4 roommates, rented each one of them out by Airbnb. And then he did it again. And then again. And now he lives in Buffalo and we manage 2 of his properties.
I had a friend, he's owner to the couple restaurant. So he bought a house and he rented for his employees.
Yeah, smart. Super smart. I love it.
More and more neighborhoods though are you know, making those
Yeah,
rental.
that's hard.
Yeah, there's rental caps, but there's definitely lots of opportunity where there's not. That's it. That's all I have. Thanks for being here.